are rocking your way into week 2 of 2026. And today's episode of the Pro Singer Success Collective is all about really the one thing that sabotages good singing and the possibility of a thriving singing career, and my second favorite tool to jumpstart your singing. So last week we talked about my first favorite tool live, and this week we're going to talk about a tool that will get you to the next level of your voice and your singing career to really make this the most productive, powerful, and impactful year of your singing yet. So last week, we talked about the first thing to do to jumpstart your singing in 2026, which was all about examining your excuses. Excuses create inertia, and the two biggest excuses that create inertia, right? You guys know what I mean by that, right? Excuses create analysis paralysis and that inertia where you just don't end up taking the actions that move your technique to the next level, your repertoire to the next level, your practice to the next level, your auditions, recordings, I mean, you name it, okay? And you just end up like stagnating and like hitting a ceiling, okay? So the two biggest excuses that we talked about last week are blaming not having enough money, time, whatever, and also blaming the industry for where you are, being in that, it's everybody else's fault. I don't have enough money to do what I want to do, to get the training or to make the record or to go to New York for the audition. I don't have enough time. And we talked through all of the excuses that I hear all the time. And that's not to say that your circumstance isn't real. Your circumstance is very real. But at the same time, your circumstance does not get to be your excuse anymore for not taking the actions that will get you where you want to go. So that was what we talked about last week. And I hope that it prompted you to think about and annihilate any excuses that you've noticed that are preventing you from getting where you want to go in your singing in your career. So that mantra, no more excuses, right? There's always a way for the committed. And I hoped it empowered you to get down to it, to do the things you've been putting off, the things you haven't been focused on because you've annihilated the excuses and you've realized that the time is now. And so in order to make the most of this momentum that you're feeling, we have got to nip in the bud any fear that might be hiding underneath the surface about doing those things, taking those inspired risks, just like attaching to excuses like we spoke about last week. Unexamined fear is really, guys, the silent career killer for all talented singers because it too breeds analysis paralysis and inertia. So in order to be fearless in pursuit of your passion and your goals as a singer, you must examine the fears that are there before you do anything else. Guys, we all have them, okay? Even the most successful singers, the people who you look at and you look at their careers and you're like, I want what they have, believe me, they have walked through fear to get to where they are, and they continue to. And so you've got to examine the fears. And it's kind of miraculous how once you do shine a light on them, they lose their power. They do, they just vanish. And so it's like the monster under your bed when you were a kid, right? Like the fear that you may have of, putting your record out, of maybe the fear of getting resourceful to invest in yourself for your singing career. Maybe it's the fear of finally quitting the day job and going like all in on your singing, right? Maybe it's fear of high notes, like high notes are scary to you, okay? It's like the monster under the bed when you were a kid. And you worked up this fear in your mind because there was this creature lying in wait under the bed that your mind had created the story around. And, then your parents come in and they turn on the lights and they start, coming and they look under the bed with you, right? Because before they came in, you were paralyzed. You were like totally spinning about this terrifying thing that your mind had convinced you was under the bed. And like, you literally don't want to move or do anything for fear of like waking that monster, right? And then your mom comes back into the room to check on you and you tell her you're scared and she holds your hand while the two of you take a flashlight and you shine the light under the bed so you can see the truth. There's nothing there. The fear was just in your head, but you had to shed light on it to actually look at it. And so this is kind of just like a simple example of how looking at the fear neutralizes it. Because see, here's what I know about most fears. They aren't real. They are not real. They're just a construct of your mind that has run away with you, just like the monster under the bed. And it is the same with whatever the fears are in your singing journey, in your technique that's really causing your body to try to over control and then sabotage the sound that you want, right? So my favorite acronym for fear, those of you who have heard me talk on this may know this already, is FEAR, false evidence appearing real. Our mind is attaching to one little piece of evidence of something and creating something else out of it entirely that is not real. Like when I would lie in bed at night, and my monster was actually not under the bed. My monster was right outside my window. And I grew up in South Florida and had a big palm tree right outside my bedroom window. And the street light would shine on the palm tree and it would create these shadows on the wall and would move and look like really scary things. And my mind would take one little piece of evidence and be like, oh my God, there's an alien landing in my backyard right now, right? And we do this also around our fears around our voice, around our singing and our career in exactly the same way. And here's the thing about fear, is it causes heightened stress and effort in the body. And if it's left unexamined, then your fears are going to resurface again and again as worry, stress, and tension in the body when you sing, when you practice, when you perform. And that is the deadliest part for singers because our body is our instrument. And the physical reactions to fear that live in the body have a direct effect and a direct cost to our sound because they affect us in one of two ways. And it is the same for all humans. When faced with fear, we will either fight or flee. You know this, it's fight or flight. If our reaction is to fight, then we will push ourselves and we will push our voice in areas where we don't trust our instrument or our technique or the outcome to try to prove and force and fight, right? Or if our tendency is to flee, to run away, then the fear will cause us to pull back from our technique, from our connection to the story, from the difficult notes, from the things that we actually need our body for, right? And so when we pull back or when we push and force, either one of these reactions actually will create the bad sound and the bad performance that we are scared of making in the first place. And it becomes a negative feedback loop because tension is the enemy of the singer. It cuts off your consistency with your technique. It cuts off your impact with your audience, okay? And so when the fear causes the tension in the body, right, it is the same because when it comes to fears around the moves that we want to make in our career or in our training, we don't like being scared about the future. We don't like worrying because we're not happy about where we are in our singing or where our career is right now. And it sucks to be in that frustrated state and that fearful state of how is this ever going to work out? And so if we fight, that looks like jumping into action willy-nilly, just plowing ahead with something, anything. So we feel like we're going somewhere, even though it's not inspired action. Like we were talking about last week, action that is aligned with your gifts, your purpose, your talent. And so then we just are jumping into action and we burn ourselves out. And we also waste a ton of time and energy and money without seeing results. So that's what fighting looks like when it is not in alignment, right? Or if we flee, if we run away from the fear, it looks like distracting ourselves with various coping mechanisms, social media, gaming, shopping, distracting ourselves maybe with food or relationships, with our kids, with family, with sex, anything, right? Or even could be for some people turning to even more destructive behavior, like engaging with alcohol or drugs. And so guys, unexamined fears, they take you down a massive rabbit hole. And that's why I say it is the silent career killer, because it takes you away from the best possible sound that your body could make because it sabotages what your body does in that moment with your technique. And it sabotages the ways that you act or do not act on your own behalf when it comes to the things that you want and need to do to move the needle on your career. And so you guys, I say this all not to scare you, but to inspire you to begin to shine a light on your own thinking so that this year, so that 2026 can be the year that you really blossom and shine as a singer and as a performer and as an artist with everything and all the potential that you were given. And so in my opinion, if you want to sing with maximum impact to your potential, it really boils down to one thing, but it will bring you everything. And that is your ability to be fearless. When it comes down to it, that's probably the only thing preventing you from singing at the level that you want and having the life that you want from it. It's just fear. It affects your technique. It affects your resourcefulness to get the training that you need. It affects motivation. It affects you putting yourself out there. And it affects you being able to believe in yourself to do all of those things. It affects so very much. So after we wrap up this live today, I want to give you an invitation to take the first step, which is to shine the light on your fears. Air them out. It's the same thing as taking the flashlight with your mom and holding it out under the bed, right? Make a list of your biggest fears with respect to your singing, your career, your voice. Do that. Shine the light on it. And then you're going to look at that list. And please know that everything that you struggle with in your technique, in your performances, in the results you get in your singing career is somehow related to and exacerbated by a fear on that list. You guys, that creates a massive block in the mind-body connection, which is sabotaging you from reaching the full potential of your voice in your singing career. But when we change the thinking, we change the singing. You cannot address a singer's technique, their potential, their impact. You cannot expand and get better results on any of those things if you are not addressing the thinking and the singing, the skill set and the mindset at the same time. And so this is why I'm focusing our first free workshop of 2026 on helping you to understand and undo the sabotage. So we're doing a mind-body breakthrough vocal reset coming up. It is a 2-day online live free masterclass series on this very thing, how to hardwire a mental edge and vocal reliability so that your singing hits harder, holds steady, and gets you to the yes, gets you to those higher level gigs, opportunities that you really want. So it's January 23rd, 22nd, and 23rd coming up a week from this Thursday. So next Thursday and Friday, 90 minutes both days, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to explain the essential mind-body tools for you to break through the sabotage in your technique, in your performances, in your ability to land those big opportunities and hit your targets so that you blaze into 2026 with more power and success in your singing than you ever have before. Because I know that all of you in this group are really invested in getting where you want to go with your voice and your singing. You all are super passionate and super serious. You're looking for new and better techniques. You've studied with a lot of teachers. You've done training programs. You practice. But within all of that, your ability to succeed with your technique and performances at a higher level really boils down to doing this very simple thing, which is undoing the fear. It is the fear that creates limiting beliefs. It is the fear that creates the excuses. It's the fear that creates the inertia, preventing you from singing the way you know you can all the time. It's the fear that prevents you from doing the things you need to get where you want to go. So when you address fear in your training, everything changes. And traditional training does not do this. You guys know that. You've all had traditional voice lessons. They do not do this. Doesn't matter how expert or prestigious the teacher is. It doesn't matter how well regarded the conservatory or institution is. They do not teach this. And I know because I have an undergraduate degree from a very prestigious conservatory, and I have yet another master's degree in vocal performance from another prestigious conservatory. I have trained in all the methods. I have done, you guys, they don't teach this. And that's why I had to go out of the traditional training system to be able to learn how to link mind and body in a way that gets much better results. And so this is why so many of you have had so many years of training and are still feeling frustrated that you're not at the level you want to be at with your singing or your career. And so if you're resonating with this and you're ready to do something that's like 100 times more effective, then come to the Mind Body Breakthrough Reset training. Okay, I'm going to put in the chat the link to register. You guys here, wait, let me do this here. I'm going to put it in the chat on Facebook. Hang on. Facebook. There we go. Comments. Okay, here we go. So the link to register is in the comments on Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube, the link to register is actually in the video description. And so you guys, I do this for free because I'm just like so tired of like talented singers suffering because you don't know this stuff. And this is where I get to shout from the rooftops, there's a better way. There is a way to access the full power and potential of your voice that traditional training is not teaching you. And so I get to share my knowledge and my experience with you in a way that can help you to start the year off right. So join me for the Breakthrough Reset training. Let me help you talk to you about how we link mind and body, give you some more effective ideas and understanding about this. Again, it's next Thursday and Friday, January 22nd and 23rd. In the meantime, do the list, examine your fears, write them down, shed light on them. Even if you're not going to like fix the world today, do you know what I'm saying? These are not going to just magically go away, but this is the first chip crack in the plaster necessary for all the fears to start reciting, is to shed light. So make that list. And then I will see you guys in the Breakthrough Reset training for Mind Body on the 22nd. Okay, guys, have a great rest of your day. Bye.